The Rocky Mountains, extending from northern New Mexico into Canada, form one of the great mountain ranges of the world. Craggy peaks, rough terrain, and hostile weather made them virtually uninhabitable. And for more than 2 decades at the opening of the 19th century, they were considered to be nothing more than a formidable barrier between the eastern United States and the West Coast. What people didn't know was that hidden deep within them were fabulous riches in minerals, including gold and silver. The first Americans to enter the Rockies were the intrepid mountain men who trapped beaver and bravely explored the region. In addition to roaming through the mountains in search of animal pelts, they found a way through the mountains, an area in present-day Wyoming where the mountains disappear. This area, known as the South Pass, allowed for thousands of pioneer families, beginning in the 1840s, to gather their worldly goods and head west along the Oregon Trail. When gold was discovered in the Sierra Nevada mountains in 1848, thousands more flocked along the 2,200-mile-long trail to California in search of riches along the western edge of the mountain range, initiating the first gold rush. Not long after, more gold was discovered in the mountains of Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana, sparking many gold rushes, bringing thousands of prospectors and miners to explore every mountain and canyon. In doing so, they created the Rocky Mountains' first major industry, mining. The Idaho gold rush alone produced more gold than the California and Alaska gold rushes combined. The legacy of these mining operations, the thousands of boom-to-bust towns, many leaving behind a variety of buildings, abandoned mines, old cemeteries, and curiously, some of the most beautiful settings in the world. The life of a mining town has a well-known cycle of boom to bust, a cycle of great wealth to abject poverty, a cycle of vast hope to dismal despair. It is a cycle repeated up and down the Rocky Mountains, from the first strikes in Colorado in the 1850s to the gold strikes in Montana during the Civil War, and the last big gold rush in the Black Hills of South Dakota in 1874. And because these mining towns were isolated from the rest of the world, there was nothing to keep them going once the mother lode ran dry. The cycle begins with the discovery of placer gold, gold that has weathered out of its rock matrix, gold that has worked its way into streams in the form of nuggets and gold dust. This gold is recovered by sluicing and panning, like what we were doing along the North Fork of Colorado's Clear Creek. Once the word gets out, men flock to the region. In addition to panning for the placer gold, prospectors begin looking for the source of the gold. This is what happened with each gold discovery in the Rockies. Each brought in thousands, all looking to strike it rich quickly. As the men flock to the gold field, tent cities spring up. Thousands of tents spread up and down the gullies and stream beds, each holding as many as a dozen miners and their equipment. A rough order of justice prevails as the men look out for one another against claim jumpers and bandits. Makeshift saloons spring up too. Here, miners spend their gold on whiskey, card games, loose women of the evening, The occasional con man might find the foolish miner who loses his claim in a scam. Then, as in the case of Colorado's Black Hawk in Central City, a mother lode is discovered. Placer panning gives way to mining underground the rich gold veins of ore locked in the hard rock of the mountains. This is followed by milling operations that begin separating the gold from the matrix. If the gold vein is a good one, then the city grows with the wealth pouring out of the mines. Soon, the tent city is replaced by a regular town of wooden and brick buildings, homes, hotels, saloons, mercantile exchanges, a boardwalk, perhaps a school and a church, and, of course, a jail. And as long as the ore lasts, as long as the strike continues to give up its gold and silver, the town prospers. Such was the case with Black Hawk in Central City.
The Central City Black Hawk area, the richest square mile on earth, gold mining was the dominant. Of course, you get a little bit of silver with that. And they have a celebration in the streets of Central City, Madam Bunch Days, and they bring up some sand from Clear Creek for people to practice panning. I have never failed not to get gold in my pan. There's that much gold left in the Central City area. It is truly a worth a fortune. It's just too expensive to extract the gold.
So, eventually the mines become exhausted. The steady stream of gold and silver trickles to a stop. The boom is over, and the bust is beginning. The big mining company closes its doors, and the miners leave. Others try to hang on, but the lifeblood of the town has drained away, and eventually the townspeople abandon their homes. A few may hang on until the bitter end, but when they die, the bust is complete. All that is left is an empty town, a mining ghost town of the Wild West. Indeed, by 1950, the population of Central City fell to a few hundred souls. Black Hawk was a shadow of its former glory, its heyday long gone. But then, gambling came to the towns, and a new boom was underway.
Black Hawk is a real interesting case because when the casinos came in, you had all of these people bemoaning what they felt was the destruction of a classical mining town. But actually, I date back to when there were no casinos there. I've been here nearly 50 years, and there were only a couple of buildings left from the mining era in terms of homes, because Black Hawk was a mill town, and the mills were torn down for scrap metal during World War II.
So the working-class town became a gambling paradise. However, there was a different fate for Central City.
Central City is an entirely different case because that was where people lived. People worked in Black Hawk, people lived in Central City. So it was you might say, the suburb in some respect. And a lot of work has been done by the Gilpin County Historical Society to preserve Central City. And they have a lot of preservation efforts going on. And certainly, yeah, there's been a few new casino buildings that are made to look old, things like that. But they're sitting, for the most part, on vacant lots. And so much of what was existed before gambling is still there today. As far as the homes, if you start walking up to High Street and you visit some of those beautiful Victorian homes, they've been meticulously restored. The downtown area, the original buildings are all still there, dating back to the end of the mining era. So Central City's done an outstanding job of historic preservation, at least in my opinion.
Central City also has one of the finest collections of historic cemeteries.
Hi, I'm Bill Ambrose. If you like this video, subscribe so we can bring you more programming from our studio. Thank you for subscribing.